Greetings, everyone. Welcome back to Blade Bias. If you're watching this the second that it comes out and you are interested in Gigantic, that game that I don't shut up about, I'm participating in a tournament. So if you want to see some semi competitive Gigantic happening, essentially what they did is they took old content creators and pros and they paired them with a bunch of new people. Like they led the team, and then we're all going to compete in a tournament. And it's happening Saturday, April 20th from 12 to 6 p.m. on some Twitch channel. They didn't tell me what Twitch channel yet. So I don't know, join my Discord link in the description and I'll post a link there when it happens or something like that. If you're not interested in that, well, stick around because we're going to be talking around about this bad boy, the Squid Industries Hydro. Spoiling the Pacific video a tiny bit, I didn't expect to be in the position that I'm in, where I like the Hydro more than I like the Pacific. Last time I tried the Hydro at Blade Show, it was mediocre at best, and I didn't really like it as much as I did the first time I tried it at Blade Show. But getting my hands on it outside of Blade Show, I'm pleasantly surprised with how much I like it. It's not anything crazy. Like, I'm not going to say that this is like the new $400 knife to get. This is definitely not the new Sliff T or anything like that, since we're looking for a Sliff T replacement now. But it's good. I like it quite a bit. So what do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Because it does have a few problems that I think would make it overall a little more coherent of a knife. But first of all, the balance is quite nice. I can't really tell. Like, it feels weird because it fans like it's handle biased, but it doesn't really roll over in Chaplin like it's handle biased. It feels in rollovers and Chaplins like the handles aren't carrying enough weight, and yet when you fan it, the blade doesn't have enough weight to keep it flat. It wants to kick up. So I don't really know what the balance of this thing would technically be. It's probably still handle biased, but it's just lacking a little bit of tip weight. But at the same time, I feel like it wouldn't feel like it does in the rollovers if that were true. They're not bad rollovers or anything. I think it's just the lightweight and small size specifically. This thing is a very small Squid Industries product. I mean, I don't have two hands to compare like I normally do, but it's a tiny little guy. And I think that leads it to feel maybe a little less handle bias than it really feels like it is when it's fanning. Because zero G's specifically, while feeling good, feel like they want to fly off of your hand, just because of how light and small it is. Now, speaking of the size, I really actually do like how small it is. This is not a Gaboon situation where like the size of it was limiting how much I was enjoying flipping it. I actually really enjoy the size of the Hydro this time around. It's big enough to be satisfying to flip, but it's small enough that it would still be an amazing EDC to throw in your pocket and not take up a lot of room. So I really like that about it. I think it's really great. I think this would be a really, really solid EDC. And because of how light it is. It comes in at 4 ounces, but because it's so small and because the handles feel as light as they do, it doesn't really feel like it's 4 ounces. I would levy a guess that it's way lighter, like 3.7 or something like that. But that more comes down to distribution. That kind of shows you how much distribution can change the feeling of a knife. But the Hydro, very, very nice. I am using the full channel Ultim spacers here. This is what Ted sent them to me with, and I didn't feel like taking it apart to feel like a tiny bit less handle bias. Because Ultim is not a very dense material. I doubt that the actual changes to the flipping are going to be that crazy. Except for one thing, the full channel spacers are very slippery. Ultim is a very slippery material. And anytime you're doing a trick where you rely on the grip from the sides, I feel like it's going to fly out of your hands. It's light enough that it doesn't, thankfully. But I have had a few times where I go to do a trick and my finger just lands on that full channel Ultim part and it just slides. It just slip slides away. So that's not my favorite thing, but I'm sure that would be fixed on the default version of this thing. Possibly even on the G10 spacers, but I don't know anything about those things other than Balisong Nerd posting that he liked them. I don't know if they're heavier, if they're lighter, if they provide more grip or anything like that. And speaking of that, the one thing that I would probably change about the Hydro, if I had to, would probably be the balance, to be honest with you. Not that I think this balance is bad. I think realistically, if the changes that I would want to see were implemented, it would probably make it an overall worse flipper. But when you have a balisong that's this small and this light, I feel like that little bit of handle bias that it has kind of makes it feel heavier in a way. So I feel like reducing some of that handle bias, making it fan a little better, making it overall a little more neutral, would go a long way to kind of unifying both the flipping experience and the design. Because the flipping experience feels kind of like a typical squid slight handle bias flipping experience, but this design is so light and so thin that like a neutral balance I think would benefit it quite a bit. It would make the whole thing just feel sleeker and more controllable and a little bit better. But saying all that, it doesn't feel bad in the way that it is right now, and that's maybe even something that would be changed if you got rid of these full-length spacers. I don't know. I didn't check that. But yeah, the Hydro came out. I wasn't expecting to like it because I tried it at Blade Show and it was just kind of meh. It's good. I like it a lot. I'm not going to run out and buy one, I don't think. I don't really have a need for an EDC like this. And as far as its flipping goes, I would much rather take a similarly as light but longer balisong like the Slift T, just in terms of flipping. Because when you have a balisong that's this small, it's kind of what I thought with the Gaboon. The fact that the handles don't extend from the pivots as much as any other balisong, the swing doesn't feel like as pronounced. Like even just a drop test like this, that handle is not carrying a whole ton of momentum. And while I do like the way that this thing carries momentum, I think it feels unique and nice. It's not carrying a ton of momentum. This thing is not a momentum flipper. This thing is not like a Slift T or even something like an Impusa. It does flip more light and less momentum heavy than you would really expect. Or maybe you would expect, given that it's so small. But there's really not a lot of momentum going on here, which is something that I prefer, and I think the slightly longer handles would help that, just because these screws would be further out from the pivots, and it would, moment of inertia and all that. I don't know, man. Go watch a Will Hirsch Flips video if you want to know more about that. But the Hydro overall, I like it. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. I think the design is nice. I don't think it's the instantaneous buy that it was when I tried it at my first Blade Show. Ow. But I do think that it is quite good. And on that note, I'm going to get going. Thank you all for watching. Thank you to Ted for sending this thing out. I really do appreciate it. And I think that does it for the Hydro, as it does it for my finger. Oh, man. Yeah, it's good. I like it. Hydro cool. And it's a good price. I think this is genuinely one of Squid's better values in the lineup. Like, unironically. I think $385 is a pretty good price for what you get. But anyway, I'm stalling too long. I'm going to get going. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.